Welcome to another Zoom session of Q&A session with filmmaker Maria Clara Escobar. She's in conversation with Sudha Padmaja Francis. A very warm welcome to both of you. A brief introduction about both of them. Maria Clara Escobar is a filmmaker, poet, and screenwriter. She studied cinema at the Ribeira School in Rio de Janeiro. I think her first short film, Domingo, was screened at the San Sebastian Film Festival, and she also co-wrote a film called Found Memories, which received a Horizons Award at the San Sebastian Film Festival. And later she directed a documentary, The Time with Him, which is about her own father. And Desterro is her first film, debut film, which is competing in the international competition section of 25th International Film Festival of Kerala. Maria Clara Escobar, a warm welcome to this Q&A session, and thank you for joining us. And we also have with us Sudha Padmaja Francis, a filmmaker based out of Kerala. She has done her master's in creative enterprises, specializing in film from the University of Reading in UK. She has also received a Flick Scholarship in the year 2016-17. Her first short film, The Eye Test, was screened at the International Documentary Festival of Kerala and many other festivals. And Orma Jeedigal, which is translated as The Memory Beings, a docu-feature about the uh, about some music people in the northern part of Kerala, which was screened at the Taiwan Association of Visual Ethnography. So she's also here with us, who will lead the session. Uh, Thank you again, both of you, and handing over the session to Maria and Sudha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bandhu. Yeah, so welcome Maria to the 25th International Film Festival of Kerala, and congratulations on your debut feature. So I'd like to start with the title of your film. If you could tell us more about the title and what it means, and yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for the festival, for inviting the film. It's a very typical year. I hope so. It's a typical. It not gets to be typical, and I feel like it's very important and brave that the festivals are insisting on happening and on having this kind of conversations, because it's not only about the film, but we building this, constructing these places to talk about our things. So thank you for this, and thanks for the festival. And about the title, so it's a word in Portuguese that I was not able to translate. So until now I've been I'm getting to convince my producers to keep with the Portuguese title, which is Desterro, and because it's a word that means not having land. Because terra is land, so it's like not having this, not having land, but it's also used for something like material, not having a land, but also for a feeling of not having ground, not having land, this ground, land, home, all these words that in English would not do the function of telling the three meanings. So I believe the film, he his atmosphere, it's Desterro, it's not having ground, not having where to come back, not having perhaps where to put your feet on.
Yeah. So I want to start by saying that I actually loved your film, and it's done so many things with its form that I'll just try to speak about what my initial impressions were. Like I felt the form, the whole film felt like a rhizome, like a horizontal route, which you could enter from multiple points, because generally there are things that you expect from a film that's divided into chapters, and this film sort of breaks all of that, of what you expect from a chapterized film, because it brings together different realms of being, I feel, which usually don't exist together in the universe of a single film. For me, like for example, the first chapter was this chapter on everydayness, the realm of everydayness, and the chapter that came next was this existence of human beings and their negotiation with governmentality and bureaucracy. And the third, and I think my most favorite chapter, is rich and vivacious take on inner lives of women, is what I took away. So for all of these to sort of coexist in a film was um, enticing for me. So if you could tell me a little more about how you arrived at the film.
It's something actually that I'm thinking about, because I'm now like working my next fiction film, and it's also in chapters. So maybe it's something, I don't know, that I do, but it's. I think I think I like this. First, I believe that, and I don't know if it's only for women, but I am a woman, you have this kind of fragmented experience, because constantly you are defined as something. So you have the experience of being this, and then you have the experience of being that. So we have like our existences. I know I cannot talk about all women, I'm talking about me, but are sort of fragmented experiences that put it together make us and our way of seeing, feeling things. So maybe this is why it's natural to think this, but also because I like to maybe to understand in this film in particular different ways of loss, different ways of trying to belong, and maybe and then right now I believe that the third part it's a possibility. Maybe that's why it's more I don't know, exciting, because it's something that was supposed to be in the first chapter and it's not working, and then the second part, that is actually the third but is the second, it's about what you have to live in order to live, and the system, the bureaucracy, and maybe the third a way, a belief of mine, that a way that how can you actually exist in contact with these other two things, what you expect to do, what you need to do, and what you knowing that finally can experience as existence. So I put these things in conflict, in contrast, and but also I believe it's something organically about the experience of for me being a woman in the world.
Okay. So there are these intensely emotional scenes, emotionally realist scenes with the everydayness, and it's speaking in monotonous kind of voices, which are sort of broken by abstract or impressionist sequences, or let's say even poetic lyrical sequences, where even in the bus or even in the other two chapters, that the whole sequence with the eucalyptus trees, like it shows that you're a poet. So can you tell me a little more about how you sort of arrived at your style, and what was your process like in shifting between these different
Mhm.
kinds of cinema?
Yes. Yes, I think that's two things there. Maybe I may be responding the same way, but because there's something about me, my experience. I really truly I understanding now that it's not so normal what I'm telling you now, but I thought it was normal. Uh, I feel true thinking. I think and feel at the same time. I do not separate these things. So for me, and what I am telling and defending, and maybe more and more in my next films, it's I really believe that we can be conscious of our society, of ourselves, of our acts, of our feelings, and this will not make us to feel less. This will make us to feel more and better, and with consciousness that we can do these two things together. And maybe as a woman in this fragmented experience, I can assure that this is a better possibility than keep polarizing what is to feel and what to think. So aesthetically, it's a proposal for of the film to always remember you that you are in a film. So to make some interruptions and never to pretend that we are not making a film, because I believe there's a lot of film that go there. We need to pretend, and you learn that on cinema school. You need to pretend that the camera doesn't exist, that the film is not being made, and this is real, and people there are real, because this is the only way that people will feel what you want to say. And I completely disagree with that. What I'm trying to say is we are doing a pact here. It's a pact. We're seeing a film, we're making a film, and we'll feel everything with the consciousness, knowing that we are seeing a film. This is not a big deal. So there's a aesthetic proposal, and that is aesthetic and message and discourse proposal of remembering you that you are in a film, and maybe in order to make you think that even what you consider real or reality in your own experience, it's also always sort of detached or something. It's not never completely fluid. If you do something automatically, this is also political. It's also a construction of political proposals, right?
Yeah, yeah. Also, coming to the way music has been used in your films, because it's been used in many ways. Like, for example, the third chapter, I mean the final chapter, has this woman singing in a melancholic sort of tone in the bus. But in the second chapter, which I mean the chapter which comes second in the film, Israel's story, there's this whole cold kind of narrative where he can't deal with his partner's death because he's so caught up in the intricacies of the bureaucracy, and it sort of breaks off into this hard rock kind of music, and where he's running through the street and all of that. So can you tell me your journey with music in this film?
Sure. For this scene and for the dance scene also, I believe that's also something that I try to do in the film, on the films. That is maybe also about what I'm saying. Maybe seeing you laughing, it's not the image of happiness. Maybe we can construct an image of feelings, and not just to put a still camera to someone doing something that should be the feeling. So maybe what I'm trying to do there in these two particular scenes, it's trying to construct the image. It doesn't matter that if he actually ran or not, but this is what he's feeling. And I read something that a Portuguese critic wrote about the film that I loved. that he said that I believe that only music will save us. And that that made me think, because I have a very emotional relation with music, and actually as cinema that can help us to sometimes run away from what we're living, or to elaborate, imagine other possibilities to be in the world of feelings, things, or relating to people. I don't know, that can transport you to other places. I believe music do it so well. So maybe I associate a lot of feelings. When I'm very happy or I'm very sad, I listen music, and that helps me to transmutate what I'm feeling. So maybe I let my characters to do that, because I don't know. I believe sometimes it's not on the kiss, in the moment of the kiss, of the sex, that you are actually feeling this love, but it's not only about love. It's about recognition. It's about belonging. So maybe, or this guy running alone in a place that was not supposed to run. So this mix of trying to create images and also always contrasting, you say, putting in contrast the things, because I really believe that the thing it's in the middle of what we consider this me and and I'm seeing you in a computer, and maybe the thing is what it's in between this. So I try to be in this place and to film this place that we don't know how to call.
So what have been your influences in terms of filmmakers and cinema?
It's very hard question, because first, because I suck when somebody asks to name people, but I believe someone that's very important to me, it's Marguerite Duras. She's a writer and make amazing films, and she constructs a lot of this atmosphere. But for this film, Mova sang the Leo Carrax was important. That has a similar scene of someone running. But actually, I don't know to say more. It's not because there's not people. It's in the contrary. I see films when I was a kid. My mom was a single mom. She used to work a lot, and I always stayed in this video. How do you say this? When you rent videos, VHS. So I see a lots of films, and I still see, and I will never be this filmmaker that starts to make films and stop to see films. So I believe I'm very influenced by everything I see, even what I don't like. But these images, I actually in this film, well, my first fiction, I made a alternative screenplay, which was only with images and poems. We have the headlines, and we put images and poems that, and sometimes music, that we could access in the moment we were going to shoot, like or the actors or the photographer or me, and then we get the feeling, and then we go to shoot. So there's a lot of influence, but they are very mixed, and I feel sometimes I relude to say this or that, but right now, this day, I can say that Marguerite Duras is very influenced for my life. Actually, even being this woman that makes different kinds of languages, right?
Yeah.
Even on her writing, she writes small romances and sometimes political articles. So maybe I could say this. But probably I am forgetting a lot of people.
So also in the beginning of the film, it starts with a note on certain policies in Brazil that made this film possible. Can you give us a little context to that?
Yes. Well, in 2016, from 2003 to 2016, we had a big change in Brazil. We are finally thinking about all this. Brazil is a very continental country, so we're finally thinking about distribution of money in all the country, and people from other states were doing films or making films, and something that was the first time. And the hunger in Brazil was getting smaller, but it was still big. And so we had these different policies and also pointed to culture. So we had the first time in history a fund for authors films, which was the one who possibilitated me for make this film. Otherwise, I was no one, and I would never get money from these vicious systems, especially, well, being unknown a woman. And then in 2016, we had our first women president in the presidency, and she suffered a process of impeachment that some people like me call coup, because it was very much a coup than an impeachment. And from that, Brazil just turned into this strange boat with no direction in the middle of a crazy sea. And we have a president right now that is a sexist, that is a homophobic, that is racist, that is, I don't know, he's favor of everything that is not human. He's in favor and saying, without not feeling ashamed of that people from social movements should be died, that there are, I don't know, I cannot even say, but like he says things like, you would, as if it would great to a woman to be raped. He can say that to this woman and things like that. Trying not to be too long, but what happened is that there's no more culture ministry. There's no more health. Well, right now there is again, but he just destroyed everything that was construct. He just stopped everything that was happening in culture, and he's not doing anything for the workers, not only, of course, for cinema workers, but all workers in Brazil. And he's against education. He's against the vacuum right now. He says that COVID, it's nothing. It's just a little bit flu. So this is our political situation right now, and I believe strongly that we need to have cultural policies in order to make our films and to take it seriously, and to provide good conditions of work, because cinema, it's art, but it's also work. It's important for me to say that. I always like to say that, because it will always only will made by rich people. So we need to consider it work, and we need to give conditions to everybody to make it, not only rich families. And we need our government to think about that and all the things. Right now, the first thing we need that it's our government think are not killing people, right? Not to genocide people. But after that, we can start maybe to talk about cinema again. But this is the situation. We don't have funds right now, and the future, it's always, the news is always terrible, and the provisions are terrible. So I found it important to say that I know, and to remember everybody that see this film, not only, of course, that try to provoke you to ask me that, so I can say this, but also for people from my country to remember that this kind of film, or any film, it only happens because we had a state thought about it. It doesn't mean that you don't have private money to make films, but we have agreements between the countries. So we knew that only Brazil could not fund the films, but we have states agreements between Portugal and Brazil, Argentina and Brazil, which made it possible. So it would never happen if this kind of politics were not in course by that time. And it maybe not ever happen again. And probably, maybe I have a chance because now I made a film and went to these amazing festivals. But probably me from that time won't be, and I'm still, from all the people in Brazil, I'm still a white woman, so I still have some privileges and some access that other women and younger women won't have.
Yeah.
So for them, it's really terrible.
Yeah.
And for everybody that are dying, even worse, right? And their families. And having this president that just doesn't care and say anything and say aggressive and violent things there, and not having to be impeached yet, and remembering that our only woman president was impeached, it's very complex, for not to say other words.
I think people all over the world resonate with this sentiment that you've shared now.
Yes.
So, is there anything more that you'd like to tell us about in this journey of making this film? Something that we missed out in this discussion?
No, I think I said everything. I can remember now to say that what I'm saying, of course, applied to my way of making films. We took a long time to get the funds because we wanted to make it with time, with respect for people that were working. I believe films are very important, but our lives and our world are more important. So and I hope we can keep having this kind of conversations and to think about the way we see things, the way we act, the way we feel, and to share other million of possibilities of doing films. So
I hope you can keep making films, and I hope you can come to Kerala in person with your next film. Thank you
Me
so
too.
much for your time. And
I'm sorry always, like when we talk about Brazil right now, and this year is very depressing, and I don't want to finish it in a depressing way. We'll keep doing it anyway because we cannot let the images from what's happening now for the future to belong to them. We already lived it in Brazil, so we'll keep doing it in some way.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time and thoughts.